There are numerous magic systems present in Patrick Rothfuss's Kingkiller world, though none of them are quite as well understood as Sympathy. In the Kingkiller Chronicle, Sympathy is a science of energy manipulation, achieved through the force of a strong will. A sympathetic link is formed between two objects, so that whatever is done to one object will affect the other. It is often perceived as a form of demon sorcery to the superstitious and uninitiated, but to those who have studied at the university, sympathy is a technical craft with precise rules. Presumably, anyone can learn sympathy to greater or lesser degrees of strength, as long as they stick with it. Our protagonist Kvothe is first introduced to sympathy by the elderly arcanist Abenthy. As his mentor, Abenthy teaches Kvothe how to use his Allah, the mental ability to hold onto a belief so firm that it affects reality. To use sympathy, one must convince himself that the effect he desires is real. For example, Abenthy holds a rock in the palm of his hand and instructs Kvothe to believe the rock will float away when he lets go. Of course, due to the universal law of gravitation, we know the rock will fall. However, the cornerstone of sympathy is believing otherwise, and that belief must be a faith that is unshakable. Once that belief is firmly held in one's mind, one must then believe the very opposite. This is the trick Abenthy uses to train Kvothe's Allah, splitting the mind into separate parts and believing two contradicting things at once. We learn from Kvothe that the training it takes to develop one's Allah is frustrating, if not downright disturbing, as it can make the trainee appear mad. Thinking two things at the same time once led Kvothe to go looking for a stone he convinced himself he had hidden, only to realise that the other half of his mind hadn't hidden it at all. Evidently, sympathy is not for the weak of mind, and to lessen its burden, Abenthy provides Kvothe with a mental exercise called the Heart of Stone, a frame of mind which shuts out all distractions and focuses on rational thought to the utmost. It is said that a man who truly mastered Heart of Stone could go to his sister's funeral without shedding a single tear. There are more than 90 different bindings available to the adept sympathist, and the first one Kvothe learns is the binding of parallel motion. With this, Kvothe can link two coins together and lift one coin, which in turn levitates the other. The coin that is not physically touched will move with the same force and direction as the coin acted on by the sympathist. However, when a sympathist lifts one coin whilst the other rises through the air, the one in their palm feels as heavy as lifting 3 coins. This is because the sympathist is carrying the weight of both coins, whilst also allowing for the fact that some energy is always lost in the connection. The transfer of energy between objects bound together by sympathy is not just limited to motion. In fact, one of my favourite scenes from The Name of the Wind depicts how a doll can affect a person's temperature by placing the doll near a source of heat. The scene I'm referring to, of course, is the one with Master Him, during his attempt to embarrass Kvothe at the university, which backfires stunningly.
Ah yes, our young prodigy. Stand up, would you? I have pleasant news for everyone. Mr. Kvothe here has assured me as to his complete grasp of the principles of sympathy. In doing so, he has offered to give today's lecture. Mr. Kvothe.
Refusing to back down, Kvothe plays along with the charade. He instructs one of the students to take a hair from Master Him and sticks it to the head of a wax doll he created. He explains to the class the 3 laws of sympathy. First is the doctrine of correspondence, which says similarity enhances sympathy. Second is the principle of consanguinity, which says a piece of a thing can represent the whole of a thing. And third is the law of conservation, which says energy cannot be destroyed or created, merely lost or found. While the doll does bear some small resemblance to Master Him, it's a poor sympathetic representation because it's small and made of wax. According to the first law, the more things resemble each other, the stronger the link between them will be. And while it's possible to increase the doll's resemblance to Master Him by making it bigger and carving his face onto it, at best you'd only get a 15% sympathetic link, which is not good at all. However, with the second law, This problem is mitigated because as the donated hair was once together with Master Hem as a small portion of his body, it will always be together. By sticking the hair into the doll, Kvothe strengthens the sympathetic link to roughly 35%. Although Kvothe places the doll's foot into a candle flame, nothing appears to happen to Master Hem, because there isn't enough heat getting through the link. This brings us to the third law, finding an energy source to achieve the desired effect. In a move of brilliance, Kvothe breaks his mind into two pieces, one binding Hem and the doll together, the other connecting the candle to a more substantial fire, namely the brazier. Kvothe casually hovers the foot of the wax doll above the candle, which startles Master Hem with a sudden jolt of pain. We have seen how dangerous sympathy can be, especially to the sympathist who uses their own body as a source of energy. One of the most brutal uses of sympathy takes place in the Wise Man's Fear, when Kvothe is outnumbered by a group of bandits in the Eld Forest. He takes the body of a dead sentry and uses it as a link to his live bandit friends. Kvothe stabs the dead sentry in the kidney, which in turn wounds one of the bowmen. He drives his knife into the corpse's eye, slides it across the man's throat, and saws through the thick tendons above the ankles and behind the knees. Kvothe continues to pierce the corpse full of holes, which cripples the rest of the bandits. It is of little wonder why sympathy is viewed with such extreme superstition by the populace when one is able to achieve such savagery. While the corpse proves itself to be an excellent link, Kvothe is forced to use the only source of energy available, his own body heat, which puts a tremendous strain upon him. In the absence of a safe energy source, such as fire, a sympathist's body heat can drain quickly, leading to fatal binder's chills. Such a reckless use of sympathy can result in the user lapsing into shock, then hypothermia, then ultimately death. Done improperly, sympathy can result in awful side effects. This is especially the case for calculation errors or an experienced sympathist not understanding its mechanics. A reckless use of sympathy can result in slippage, which is wasted energy transferred to an unintended source. This can lead to disastrous consequences. Thermal slippage can burn a person, whereas kinetic slippage could create an impact so heavy as to crush one's limbs. Patrick Rothfuss has crafted an intricate magic system, interlocking science with historical pseudoscience and magical conjuration. The way he handles the magic is a welcome relief from the majority of vague magic systems in fantasy books that just brush over and expect you to accept it for what it is. There are rules for sympathy to work, but this doesn't prevent characters from employing a bit of ingenuity to manipulate the magic system in creative ways. Only several of the 100 or so bindings have been revealed so far in the books, and I'm anxious to see what other ones will be shown in the Doors of Stone when it eventually gets released. If you enjoyed this vid, leave me a like, and please subscribe if you want to see more Kingkiller content. Thanks so much, and see you again.